The Asian Indian Chamber of Commerce serves as a hub for valuable business resources and relationships that will help its members succeed and grow their business. It is a catalyst for economic and community development, a place where business owners, community leaders, elected officials, and all sorts of folks have ample opportunities to network and benefit from the resources available that would bring out the entrepreneurial leadership in them. It is my great pleasure to welcome Ms. Stephanie Locker, Ms. Komal Dangi, and Mr. Rajiv Krishna representing AICC, where they will be explaining to our viewers what supplier diversity is and how they can benefit from it and much more. So let's get the ball rolling. Welcome to the ITV Gold studio.
Hi, thank you Nidhi, and thank you ITV Gold. My name is Rajiv Krishna. I'm the current president of the Asian Indian Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has been around 25 years, and I happen to be the current president serving for the next 2 years.
With you.
Hi, my name is Komal Dangi. I'm the Director Supplier Diversity for AICC. Rajiv is our new president and has great vision about supplier diversity. I have joined him to support the initiative.
My name is Stephanie Locker. I own a management consulting firm, and I'm an expert in supplier diversity. I'm here to speak on supplier diversity next week for the Chamber.
What is the supplier diversity and why is it important? Starting with you, Stephanie.
Yeah, so supplier diversity is essentially the use of diverse suppliers within the procurement and supply chain workflow. So the reason it's important is because it diversifies the supply chain, and ultimately it better speaks to your employees and the consumers that you're trying to attract as a company.
How could a supply chain create more value in terms of price drop and customer satisfaction?
So it has been shown and proven that if the supply chain is diverse, if you have lots of small companies as part of your supply chain, a lot of the innovation, a lot of the reliability, a lot of the quick agility, a lot of the cost savings, and a lot of the innovation comes from your diverse supply chain. I mean, the large companies, if you buy from large companies, you get a good product, but all the innovation happens with small, diverse suppliers. It's a proven fact.
Mm-hmm. Komal, you have your own business. How has joining this association helped you and your business?
So this is a brand new initiative where we are trying to get the corporate buyers and the small businesses like mine. So we are trying to map the buyers with the corporates and the needs, what they have, and eventually make them sit across the table to make the business happen.
Mm-hmm. How does one identify the best end-to-end solution in the supply chain, Stephanie?
So the best way to do that is through a sourcing exercise. And the sourcing exercise can be in the form of like a request for proposal, which is known as an RFP, or a request for a quotation, which is something a little bit less formal than the proposal. And then through that competitive process, there's then scoring. And the scorecard allows you to score it against the metrics that you've determined best align with the overall need of the requirements of the business. So whatever the result is of the scoring through that competitive process winds up being the best fit for the project.
How does e-commerce or B2B business affect the supplier diversity?
So I think it actually helps. I think that the way that it's able to help supplier diversity is that the reach is larger. So when I often talk about companies or about diverse companies with companies, is they typically look local, and that's amazing. But a diverse company doesn't necessarily need to be local. So when they get frustrated where they're not finding the company that they need, my advice is to really look larger. So use the e-commerce platforms that are available so that your reach is larger, and you can really start to see that there is the availability in that space with diverse suppliers, as long as you're looking in the right places.
Okay. Is there a complete transparency between suppliers and vendors in terms of information shared between them, or is it important to make sure that you are sharing information in a useful way? If the data is shared is hard to interpret or changes too frequently, it can cause confusion. Your thoughts on that, Rajiv ji?
Good question. See, the data, one of the requirements, or one of the strengths for a diverse supplier is the ability to share data both ways. They need transparency. Their client, which is probably a Fortune 100 or a much larger company, needs to have the comfort level that the diverse supplier they are buying from has the capability, has the ability to manage their business, and they are not affected by, let's say, COVID. I mean, if COVID happens and a large company is affected, they want to make sure that the supplier they're buying from has the ability to survive that. And sharing that data transparency between the small company and the large company gives a level of comfort to the large buyer. And at the end of the day, it's all about reliability and comfort level and relationships when you're doing business. So that's really a key factor. And the smaller business, for them to be able to perform adequately, they need access to the large company's database so that they know exactly what is needed. They can see what's coming up front. So it works both ways. Data sharing is super important.
What about the small vendor? If he falls short of resources, how do you help?
How does the chamber help? The chamber's purpose basically is to make the match. The chamber really is not equipped to help a small business overcome hurdles which it faces. We can, at the best, connect them with other similar companies who can. So let's say, if you're business A and you make widgets and you're running short of widgets, we can definitely connect you with other widget manufacturers who can assist you in overcoming your shortage. But beyond that, the chamber really doesn't guarantee or doesn't step in and help your immediate problem with your supplier.
So there are no private banks or...
No, we have, if it's financing, again, the chamber will give you a platform of all businesses. So if you have a financing need, we have banks. If you need a legal assistance, we have lawyers on our membership. If you need transportation, we have logistics companies on our board.
Wow.
So if you need HR companies, we have HR companies on our board. So we have the right resources available to you, but it's for you to reach out to those resources. But our membership includes all those resources.
Wonderful. I should definitely apply.
And especially if you need advertising, come to ITV Gold. If you need if you need a radio, we have EBC Radio on our board. So the chamber really has got a very versatile, and not only just Asians, Indians, but also non-Asian, non-Indians. We have a lot of mainstream companies on our board too.
Wonderful. What makes a good diverse supplier, and how can diverse suppliers improve their relationships with corporates? Stephanie.
A good diverse supplier is one that's continuously growing. I started in 2019 as a diverse supplier, and my first year was awful. I was only going after government business, and I really didn't understand it as well, coming from the commercial space. So for me, I really needed to look internally, like, okay, what are we doing today? How do we do better? And how do we leverage the communities that I've grown a part of to really help me get there? So that's why chambers like the Asian Indian Chamber of Commerce are so absolutely critical to businesses that are diverse, because we understand each other, we're a community for each other. We really help each other understand how to get from point A to point B, what that looks like, how to develop a strategy, how to execute on it, and how to make sure that it's sustainable.
Do you consider sustainability or conscious consumption or the climate factor in the supply chain?
Yeah, so we actually have seen a significantly large amount of use for diverse suppliers since COVID, as an example, because offshoring was no longer an option. So now people are more apt to use local suppliers, smaller suppliers, more diverse suppliers, which they've seen environmentally friendly. You also have the significant social impact as well, because you're uplifting the communities in which your consumers live in and your employees live in. And then you also have a different aspect of governance. So those three things together are ESG, which is now a really hot topic that people are really starting to care about. But by having that onshoring or nearshoring option, it's doing that essentially organically. And we've seen a really drastic increase in the quality of products, the timing of products, the innovation that our local communities are able to do, and also the way that it's impacting our communities, so that it's providing jobs in the areas that we really need to see jobs. And it's also giving us the ability to become innovative and really think outside the box when we need to.
When you talk of innovations, what exactly is that? Give me some examples.
I think a really good example is with PPP. So when people were looking for masks and they couldn't get it from their typical offshore suppliers, there were people that were usually printing pens that are now, printing things with masks, and really trying to reinvent themselves in ways that they probably never would have thought of needing before. But they really felt the need from their community and they adapted, and that's what makes a small company sustainable. That's what makes a diverse company sustainable. And that's what makes them so important, because it's having that diverse lens that the larger organizations just don't have because they don't need to. So there's sustainability for a lot of different reasons, but it's so multifaceted, which makes it so much more impactful.
Yeah, and I want to expand on the same thing. So we are a sign company, not that I want to sell signs, but during COVID, we were making masks. We were actually cutting out pieces of cloth with 2 ear holes and the shape of a mask. And we made thousands and thousands of masks, basically to prevent the spit from coming out. And we never made masks before, but we made masks. We made these glass shields. We got acrylic. We cut acrylic. We made glass shields. So that innovation and the ability to deliver next day, 2 days from now, is so critical in a small supplier that you really cannot get that from a large company. You just cannot. And
Speed is utmost, right?
Yeah,
and they have the fire in them that
yeah.
we want to make things happen. Sometimes, large suppliers, they take it easy that, we are there, we have reached a certain level, and now it's okay to be, take it lightly. So if corporates keep engaging new businesses and new small businesses, I think that will be very important, because it's not about growing a set of companies, it is going beyond that and building a relationship with new companies so that they can benefit more suppliers.
Definitely.
And you asked a question, what is good about, what are the characteristics of a good diverse supplier? I think it is a cyclical achievement, which means that if you choose to be a diverse supplier, work with a large company, it forces you to grow. It forces you to put systems in place. It forces you to hire the right people to be innovative.
True.
So as you start building these relationships, you'll find that your own company and you as an individual continue to grow, which you would not if you didn't have that ambition to become a diverse supplier. So I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You choose to become a diverse supplier is by signing your own certificate to choose to grow. I think that's really the key. People don't see that, but I think it is so true. Because larger companies force you to grow. If you don't, then you don't.
You're out of the
there.
game.
Yeah, you're out of the game. Yeah.
Give me examples of small business enterprises, minority-owned business enterprises, woman-owned business enterprises, and how do you help them? Of course, we have one woman-owned enterprise right here. So tell me, what is your business all about?
So my business is, we are a staffing company, plus we also own a HR tech system. You spoke about innovation. So my other company, the tech system, is a SaaS company which helps, which I was speaking with Stephanie. It's an interview management system, but I don't want to talk more about it right now because this is AICC. But as a small business, we are innovating, and we are working with corporates to help them fulfill their needs with respect to their workforce.
So that corporate connection you were able to get it from procure from this chamber?
My company helps corporate to build their workforce in the contingent space and the full-time space. We also have a HR tech system, which is a software as a SaaS company, and we help corporates to build their interview management system. I don't want to talk about that because I'm representing AICC right now. But I joined AICC recently because I met with Rajiv, and Rajiv had this vision of building a supplier diversity initiative in the chamber. I myself, as a women-owned organization, we got the certificate, but there are a lot of organizations who have these certificates and they don't know what to do with it. They will take all these certifications and they keep saying, this is of no use, though we get it, but how do you use it?
Yeah.
They don't know about it.
That would have been one of my questions, but how do you plan to use your certification?
Yeah, so it is all about networking. That comes second. So once you get certificate, then you have to show up in different conferences, and business doesn't happen overnight. Rome was not built overnight. So you have to keep coming to these conferences, meeting these supply diversity managers, explaining them what they do, understanding what their needs are. do all that, and I wanted to enable all that along with Rajiv in the New Jersey and New York area. As long as you're doing it, believe me, this certificate has a lot of power.
But it's not a guarantee that, if you are working with a supplier, that, just because you have the certificate doesn't mean that you have the skill set. It's just about putting your information out there and being certified.
Yes.
Like if I go for a Google certification, I will go through all the steps, I will study, and then I will get a test score or something, and then I can take it to an advertising agency or the SEO, specialization. But here it's just about
You being a minority, that's it. You got to prove your ability to do business on your own.
I hope Google would also do the minority. No, actually, I don't really believe in that. So here's my next question. Why is there a special mention of National LGBT Chamber of Commerce? It's not an accomplishment like veterans. At the end of the day, they are just the people with different sexual preferences, nothing else. So, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Why are they a minority?
Yeah, so there is a significant amount of economic disparity that comes with being LGBTQ. Typically that happens over a lifetime, and what happens is the certification kind of helps uplift that community, and with that, there's only about 1% typically of corporate spend that typically goes to LGBTQ businesses, and so we're trying to look at all of the diverse criteria and all of the diverse spenders to really help uplift each other and really focus on intersectionality, where we can all help each other as community with resources and building capacity. And as we do that, it'll uplift everyone in the way that best represents your employees and the consumers that you're trying to attract as a business.
Mm-hmm.
So really it is underprivileged, veterans, and minorities. So if there is for example, we Indians, a lot of people say, no, we really don't deserve to be set aside as
we would take advantage of that situation.
So it is not about, but since we are qualified as a minority, we are eligible to be certified as a minority. So by the same token, LGBTQ are probably underprivileged and they are a minority in their own right. So that status gives them the ability to make use of this.
Whatever the ruling government says, I guess. What can I say? Right. Or what can you say?
No, all I'm saying is that it is serving the underprivileged class. That's really what it is.
The minority is all about upliftment. The certification is all about upliftment of underprivileged people or people who are in minority status. US is a land of immigration, and I guess the supplier diversity concept is all about being more involved, making a community which is more involved and is inclusive.
Inclusive, that is the right word.
Talk about, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say what also happens is that a lot of the diverse populations are currently left out of disparity studies. So we're currently in progress of really changing the legislation so that we can better understand the data, because right now it's simply not available. As an example, I'm a disabled-owned company because I'm a disabled individual, and 1 out of 5 disabled people own businesses, but it's not showing up in any of the disparity studies. So we don't actually know how many disabled people actually own businesses or how many are in the supply chain. So without the data, we don't really understand the impact. So we're so far behind that we don't even have the legislation to even understand the data. To just kind of give you kind of a perspective of, the way that things kind of need to happen in order to understand the impact.
So talk about your networking events, workshops, and the breakfast series that you have in the pipeline.
Okay, so
now we are excited and we're talking about the real deal.
So so let me give you a 30-second background on why we are doing the breakfast series. The chamber has been around 25 years. We have done a lot of events. We have done a health expo. We have done a business expo. We do our monthly networking events. But through all of this, there was no common thread. There was no common parameter which really we continue to build on. We would do one thing and then we would do something else. We would do something else. So when we latched on to supplier diversity as a focus area for our chamber, we said, no, one of the key ingredients of our supplier diversity initiative has got to be to bring awareness and educating our community about what supplier diversity is. So one of the ways to do that was to have multiple events, all focused on the same topic. So we chose breakfast because a lot of corporates are available for breakfast rather than for the evenings. They have their own private time for the evenings. So we decided to do a breakfast event. We are doing 8 of them, and all 8 segments or all 8 months is going to be talking about different aspects of supplier diversity. Like what is supplier diversity, and then what are the characteristics of a good diverse supplier? Are you ready for diversity certification? And how does supplier diversity impact and the healthcare industry? How does it impact the financial industry? So we're going to pick a couple of key segments of the economy, as well as do a lot of education, bring a lot of awareness. So we're doing it over 8 months. So if somebody can't attend one event, they can attend the next event. We're going to also hold it in different places. We're going to hold it in Central Jersey. We're going to hold it in South Jersey, North Jersey, and maybe in New York, so we can attract businesses from different geographies. And our hope is at the end of these 8 months, we'll have a good awareness within our community of what supplier diversity is, and then we can do larger events like a procurement event and something else.
Oh, wonderful. Any last words or any message for the emerging entrepreneurs?
There's only one word. No, you are your best enemy and you are your best friend. If you really believe in who you are, if you really believe in your business, if you really want your business to grow, there are lots of ways to grow businesses and there are lots of ways to make money. But I think as a community, as being able to be certified as a minority, I think you're leaving a very huge untapped potential by not becoming certified, number one. Number two, exploring how can doing business with large companies really change you, change your employees, change your... I was just thinking about it. All of us have business stress. If you're running a business, you've got to have stress. Doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. Would you be stressed about fighting for the last penny and pleasing the last client? Or would you be stressed about how to make the best product happen? How do you get the right team in place? How do you get the right innovation in place? And money is really not an issue. The client will pay you whatever your costs are. The client will pay you what your fair price is. But you're more worried about innovating and putting the right team together rather than worrying about when is my how am I going to make my ends meet? How am I going to pay my next bill? Mm-hmm. So I think to me that is really a key differentiator. Were you worried about paying your next bill, or are you worried about taking the next step in your business? Mm-hmm. So I think as a supplier diversity, as a diverse supplier, you really have it within you to make that call. Nobody can make it for you. Mm-hmm. And believe me, if you choose to be certified, great things are out there, believe me.
Yeah. Believing in yourself is the first and the foremost thing. Yeah. If you don't believe in yourself, you will not be able to go any further. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of resources available out there. Just make use of them.
Mm-hmm. All right, Stephanie.
Community is extremely important in order to be successful, in my opinion. And you find those communities by joining chambers like this one, and also by leveraging the certifications. So, there are conferences that you can go to. There are capacity building programs that are offered through certification. There are grants. There are mentorship programs. I've done about 6 capacity building and mentorship programs. That is really why I'm successful in business today, is through the resources that I found, both through joining chambers, leveraging community, and leveraging the certification.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about networking, right? The more you meet, the more you're out there, better you'll be.
Thank you so much for talking to us.